Guys, so this is going to be my brow tutorial, and this is just going to be a simple how-to of how I fill in my brows. Now there are levels to this. This is basically a beginner starting off to intermediate, but today we're just going to do a simple brow tutorial. I'll show you how I fill in my brows. First thing you're going to need to do is have a brush or a spoolie. In this case I'm using a spoolie. You can also use like an old mascara wand that you've removed the product from, and you just want to brush your brow hairs in the direction that you want them to go. So to select a starting point, I just like to line it up with the bridge of my nose. And you're just gonna start filling it in. Now you want to take really light strokes. I like to fill it in a little at a time and then span out. It's easier for me to get a gauge of the direction or the projection of my brows and where I want them to go. Now for your arch, that's where my arch is going to be, and then the tail of the brow is just going to be lined up with the side of your nose. So that's how you basically tell the beginning to the end of your brow. And you're just going to fill that in. Very light strokes as you determine the shape. Now this is, just rough outline. You can always go back in, clean it up, make it darker, as I will do. Make it longer, change the art, change the shape. But this is just me filling it in and just making the hairs that I do have a little bit darker. Now that's a good start. Now same thing, line it up. Now I like to arch my brows, raise my brows, kind of help me again with the projection of the arch. Again, I just want to get the general shape to match up. There we go, in and perfect. Light strokes. Now this eye also has like a bit of like lazy eye puffiness, so it's usually a challenge for me to fill it in. And a tip for that is usually I start with this brow because it's easier to match this one to the one that's harder, but we want to show off today, so we decided to just start with the good one. So next step, we're going to conceal. I'm using Fawn by LA Girl Pro Concealer, and I'm just using a synthetic, what is this, angled brush by e.l.f. And I just take the brush and I take a little bit of product at a time. I find it easier to start off with a little bit and build, as opposed to having to blend out a whole glob of product. And we are just going to take our time and clean up this brow and give them a uniform shape, as uniform as we can get them. Light strokes. Now, because I'm trying to allow my brows to grow in. Just blend that out with your fingers. I try not to pluck the hairs underneath since I'm trying to allow my brows to grow. But what I do, however, do is I take this Remington, shaver, and I clean up the hairs that are growing in on the top. I find this to be a better alternative than plucking, because it doesn't cause any trauma to the area, so that the hair can grow in naturally. So it's just a good way to maintain your brow hairs, in my opinion. This is usually for my day-to-day. This is where I'll end. And I'll just take my little defining brush, detailer brush by Sonia Kashuk by Real Technique, and I'll just taper off the starting point the way it naturally would. And I'll be done. Now, on the weekends, when I have a bit more time, I do an additional step, and that is to use my Jordana Brow brow powder duo, and I'm just gonna use a dome brush, and I'm just gonna go into the brown. It's a dark brown. You can use any dark brown eyeshadow or powder that you desire, and you want to start in the center. The center of the brows are usually the darkest, so I start from my arch and I just pat that in. I like to pat it in because it creates some texture, and to give the brow a more natural look, as opposed to like making strokes. That kind of makes it blotchy, so I just like to dab that in. Tap, tap, tap. And I don't go all the way to the front since we already buffed that out. And just be careful when you're applying it to the edge, because you don't want to make that tail darker than, or wider rather. You don't want to make that tail wider than you already made it with pencil. At least that's my preference. So again, start from the center. So just pat that in. And you try to distribute that as evenly as possible, because if you end up in a well-lit area, it will show blotches. Maybe I'll do a little bit. And let's see, I'll go back in a little bit with my pencil since I kind of blended that out a little too much. I'll just shake it back in. And just clean that up again. And that's my basic brow. And you just want to check for symmetry. I'm pretty satisfied with these for today. I think I did pretty well. Now again, I'm just showing you the fundamentals of how to go about filling in your brows. You can make it your own, fill them in however you choose. This is just my way and how I do my brows on a daily basis, and obviously it doesn't take me this long. It's just taking longer than usual since I had to explain each step, but that's about it. I'll come back and show you the full look.
This is the remix. 99 to infinity. Bad girls. Keisha. Talk to me.
trade you